I'm Reverend Chantal, Wayside Rev, Team Vicar in the parish of North Wayside and ordained lead of the Beacon Project SR5. Welcome to Baking Through Holy Week. Over the next few days we're going to be sharing with you some recipes and stories for how we can engage differently with the Easter story and the story of Christ's Passion. We'll be putting these out via YouTube. You're welcome to watch all of them, and we'll share them across onto Facebook too. So enjoy. Now, and we've got a bit of a retro treat planned for you today, using dates from palm trees, because Palm Sunday we remember Jesus entering Jerusalem on his donkey, well, on the borrowed donkey, and people waving palm leaves and laying them on the floor under the donkey's feet. So you're going to need for this, the recipe says, 425 grams of medjool dates, pitted and chopped. Now, dates are not something that people always have kicking around. I did find some at the back of my cupboard, which was lucky, because I stepped in the last minute to do this. A very wittily named tin, of course. But I didn't have quite enough, so I did chuck in some dried apricots as well. And if you don't have enough dates or any dates, you could, I reckon, I was thinking about this, you could probably use apricots, dried apricots especially. You could add some chopped apple if you wanted, because dates are not super cheap, but I think mixing them up will be totally fine. So do that. Then you need to chop them up quite roughly. Chopping them is a nightmare because they all stick together. You will probably get quite mucky. So we're just going to do that first. Okay? So here we've got our dates and apricot pile. Just going to give them a good going over with a big knife. I find using a big knife for this kind of thing a lot easier than a small one. Obviously, keep your fingers out of the way. And if you've got kids helping you with this, this is probably not really a job for them. So give them a good chop through. Definitely make sure you're using pitted dates, because this will be really difficult if you're also trying to avoid pits. So keep going over them. Scoop the ones that try to escape back into the middle. There's always some, aren't there? Give them a good chop. You're not aiming for a consistent shape or uniform result here. Oh my life, I am making a mess. See that? I knew that would happen. I've just spilt butter all over the table. Tra-la-la. This is why I really have got butter everywhere. Ah! What fun, what fun. Right, I think we might say that's good enough. We're not aiming for perfection here. We're going for rustic and real. How about that? Perfect. When you're happy that they're small enough, you're going to scoop them all into a pan. You'll probably have a few escapees at this point as well, because that always happens. So we're just going to pop all those into a pan. I went for a non-stick pan in the hope that it means I'm less likely to burn everything. I'm sure any pan is fine. You're supposed to keep an eye on it anyway, so that should help. Scrape all that off. Where's my escapees? Pop those in. So there we go, all in the pan there. Okay, so to our pan that's got our dates in, we're going to add 1 cup of water. Just straight out the tap, just, normal water. But at the same time, do give thanks for the fact that we have water that we can just get out the tap. We are very lucky to have that. Now the recipe says half a teaspoon of baking soda. In this country, in the UK, that is bicarb of soda, not baking powder. That's a different thing. So you want half a teaspoon of that. Chuck that in there. Now I'm not very good with recipes, to be honest, because I get distracted halfway through and I skip ahead sometimes. So I'm just hoping I'm actually doing this one right. Oh no, nah. Should have added the baking soda afterwards, the recipe says. Let's hope that doesn't count, hey? Let's hope that's not a problem. 2 tablespoons of brown sugar. Now some of that didn't actually end in the measure. It's quite clumpy, brown sugar. I really like this sort of sticky together brown sugar. Right, I'm going to count that as 2 tablespoons because dates themselves are also really sugary. I don't have that much of a sweet tooth, to be honest. And you can eat more of them if you tell yourself it's healthy, right? That was fair trade sugar, in case I'm just going to put that under the counter. So there we go. fair trade, very good, support the workers. Okay, get your lemon juice. Any brand of lemon juice, you really don't need to be posh about this. You can use real lemons if you want, but I think lemon juice is lemon juice, to be honest. I'm just hoping I've got enough. So 1. Oh, it fizzes when it hits the bicarb. Let's hope that's not a problem. Tra-la-la, I've got the dates, water, lemon juice, sugar, soda. Okay, so we're going to pop that in the heat now. Honestly, I really am not the right person to do these sort of things. Right, so that's on the heat. It says in the instructions, in a pot, bring the dates, water, lemon juice and brown sugar to a boil. Then add the baking soda and simmer for 5 minutes. So we're going to pretend that we've done that, okay? In the right order. I'm sure it'll be fine. And it does say stirring constantly with a wooden spoon until the dates have fallen apart. So, I'm going to get myself a wooden spoon. Can't beat a wooden spoon. You can see there's quite a few in here that are completely not chopped up in any way, shape or form. So I'm just going to have to hope for the best, and there's quite a big one. We'll say we're taking the Yorkshire approach to this and making it a bit more like a dry stone wall, so some big, some little, all together it'll be fine. So this is the Yorkshire approach to date slices. We're not going for gravel tarmac here, we're going for dry stone walling version of roads. I think prunes might potentially work as well in this. Just trying to think what else you might have in your cupboard if you don't have dates or don't have enough dates. I mean, they look the same, they don't taste the same, and they have different effects on your body if we're honest, but yeah, maybe dried prunes, they could work. You might want to, well, look at it, you see it's starting to kind of moosh together. Looks delightfully sticky. Bet that'd be nice over ice cream. I do like ice cream. Look at that. Sticky, messy. Yes, yes, yes. Now we're not aiming for a really like smooth mix here. I don't think that would happen, to be honest. But do keep stirring it because there isn't that much liquid in here, and turn the heat down so it's not going hard. You don't want it to burn. Keep stirring it. Non-stick pan probably was a good shout actually. And once you're happy that you've got a kind of paste, with some lumps in eye, definitely, but a kind of paste rather than a load of things in a liquid, and it's all one sort of homogeneous, gunky, sticky mess, then I think we're okay. So then turn that off. You can leave it in the pan and it's going to cool for you in the pan, but you don't need to worry about that. Maybe put it to the back so the handles can't get caught and knocked over, because that's easily done. Yeah, we'll go with that. I think that looks grand. So turn the heat off, pop your pan to the back and just let that sit to one side. Okay, so now you've made the date filling, you're going to make your crisp bit. So for this you're going to need 175 grams of, it says quick cooking oats. I have no idea what that means, so I'm just using porridge oats because that's what I had in the cupboard. You're going to add 1 cup or 150 grams of unbleached all-purpose flour, just plain flour. Whack that in there. Give it a shake, try and get it all. Now it says 1/4 teaspoon. Couldn't find my quarter measure, so we've got baking powder. There we go. I've only got 1/2 teaspoon measure, so I'm just going to sort of approximate. Right, isn't it? So chuck that in as well. Good thing to remember with things like bicarb and baking powder, it's liquid that activates them. So as long as you put them in before you liquid, you can then go off and do other things if you suddenly remember you need to empty the washing machine or pick up the kids or something. So when you're making scones, for example, you can put everything together in a bowl and just add your milk later. Good little tip for you. So oats, then brown sugar. Now the recipe says 160 grams of brown sugar, and I only put 100 grams in because I just thought that was a bit overkill, to be honest. And because the filling is going to be so sticky as well, and sweet, and dates are sweet, I thought we don't need that much. Right, we're going to give that a stir, just to mix, because it's easier to mix all dry things together before you introduce liquid. And then to that, you're going to add your butter or your marge. It says semi-salted, just use whatever you've got in. Salted, unsalted, I don't think it really matters to be honest, but it says 3/4 of a cup, about 170 grams. And again, you'll be following the proper recipe and it won't have thrown it all over the countertop. So yeah, we're just going to hope that I've got enough still left in here. I softened mine in the microwave for a minute, which might have actually been too long, I don't know. But yeah, we'll see if that's enough. So pop it in and you're just going to give it a good stir until it is all sort of together. So you're just aiming for it all to be mixed up. Everything's into one kind of gloopy mess. It may be that I don't have enough butter. Depends how much I poured out by knocking it over, I think. Let's have a look. It's quite a dry mix, isn't it? Incidentally, I've never made this recipe before, so I don't really know what I'm aiming for. But as long as it tastes okay, that's what matters really, isn't it? So we don't want dry, powdery bits because that would taste rubbish. I'm looking at the bits on the counter and trying to work out if I can scrape them up. I cleaned the counter just before I did this, so I could try and rescue a bit from there. See if I can get some more out of that bowl. Yeah, there's a bit more in there, isn't there? Reminds me of trying to get Marmite out of Jarvis. You never get it all out. Help. Get all that. Okay, I'm happy with that. Now I added a little bit of cinnamon and ginger, not in the recipe, but we're a household that really likes those flavours, so I thought, oh, why not? When you're happy with the mixture you've got, you're going to take a baking tin and pop some baking parchment in it, greaseproof paper, whatever you want to call it, and you're going to scrape half of your kind of sort of flapjacky mixture into the bottom. Okay, so I've got a damp hand. We're just going to squish it down. So if you have a wet hand, stuff doesn't really stick to you, but it's a lot easier than trying to get it into all the edges using a spoon. As we do this, we're thinking about all those people who greeted Jesus lining the streets on his entry to Jerusalem. And they were laying down their cloaks and their coats and maybe their hankies, I don't know if they had hankies back then, palm leaves, whatever they had for the donkey that Jesus was on to walk across. A bit like a community-made red carpet, really, a way of symbolising that the person or people walking in front and going over it were special, and you wanted to greet them, make them know they were welcomed and precious and important to you. So we think about that. You can see it does look a bit like a road actually, the kind of dry lines in it. So we're going to lay that over there, and once you're happy that that's quite nice and flat, you're going to add your date mixture on top of that. And it doesn't say this in the recipe, but you might want to think about the donkey whilst you do this, because I can imagine this might look a little like a donkey has passed this way. So these are going to be quite thick. This is quite a gloopy thick mixture. If you're not wild about dates or you didn't have enough, looking at the amount that's here, I don't think it would be a problem if you just made less. Obviously cut down the other ingredients that go with the dates when you do that, but I think it would be absolutely fine. And as we're laying extra layers, thinking about all the things that made up that road, the stones, the gravel, the dust, the cloves, the palm leaves, the donkey poo, all of that. But also more metaphorically, we also think of the hopes and dreams and expectations that all those watching Jesus come, hoping this was their Messiah that was going to change everything, that they were laying on the floor at Jesus' feet. Because it wasn't just palm leaves, it was what they hoped he was, who they hoped he was, and what it might change for them and their lives. So as we lay all that on, that's what we're thinking about. Trying to get all that gloopy, lovely gloopy mixture in. And that'll do. Oh, I shall save that spoon for the family to clean off for me. And And then we're going to put the rest of the oat mixture on top. I'm getting very mucky here. It's half the fun of baking though, isn't it? So that's going to go on top there. Who gets to do the licking out of the bowl in your house? Do you share it? Is it baker's rights? How does it work? Do you do it however you did it in your family growing up? People have different rules around these things, don't they? Do you fight over the spoon? Is the spoon more excited than the bowl? Oh, everyone has different preferences, don't they? Isn't humanity wide and varied? The thing I love about dry mixes, where there's lots of different things adding to them, is I think they're really symbolic of community and families and people, and the kind of how everyone is different and different sizes, different shapes, different backgrounds, perspectives, but together we can make a whole thing. We can make it through supporting each other. We are able to become something much stronger than we would by ourselves. Something that's not in the recipe, but I thought I might add for additional crunch. I'm going to sprinkle some seeds on top to represent the extra loose stones. Although, actually, the mix by itself is quite good, to be fair. It's also to go into the illusion of it being healthy, I think. You can push them down very slightly and they might stick. So when you're happy that you've got all your mixtures nicely in and laid, you're going to pop that into an oven, which hopefully you've preheated, and just pop it in there around the middle shelf. And it's going to be in there for about 55 minutes. I reckon if your oven's temperamental, maybe have a quick look at 45, see how it's doing. You're aiming for the mixture to be a kind of golden brown colour, and you don't want it to get too crispy on the edges. So if you see that, maybe turn down the heat or take it out early. But the recipe reckons 55 minutes, so keep an eye on it and have a look. And then the recipe is quite clear. You take it out, let it cool for 4 hours. So resist the urge to immediately dive in and eat it. Take it out, let it cool. Once it's cool, you can cut it into slices. You should be able to get about 16 squares out of it. So enjoy. But as you've laid those layers out, as you think of Palm Sunday, do think, what is it that your hopes and dreams are that you would bring and can bring and maybe are bringing to Jesus? Because this Palm Sunday we think of those people back then who did that, but also that we can still do that. We can still bring our hopes to Jesus, to God, to lay them on the floor, to lay them at the cross even, and just say, this, can you help me with this? This is where I'm at right now. So we do that, and we know that God hears our prayers. God listens to our hopes and dreams and fears and sorrows and takes them all on and walks with us through dealing with them. So that's my prayer for each of us as we enjoy eating these things. And if you are the musical type or just enjoy having a bit of a karaoke in your house, you might want to sit down, have a cup of tea, or even have a boogie whilst you're eating them and sing something Palm Sunday like Ride On in Majesty, it's a bit of a classic, or Hosanna, or We Have a King Who Rides a Donkey, which I'm sure, even if you don't know it, you can make it up because it goes to the tune of A Drunken Sailor. And everybody knows that. And you can wave your cake around as you do it and just have a good boogie. So one for all the family. Do enjoy, and we'll see you back here tomorrow. Thanks. Bye!